And I must say, this is definitely going to be one of those shows. I can see it already. As we start the show, and already Adam is completely distracted by something else entirely.
I was starting the episode up so I can watch it.
You're going to watch it at the same time. Fantastic. Hello, everybody. It is Suda. Welcome to the Datamine. It is Thursday the 18th. It is here where we discuss independent development with independent developers, including some people who are not independent developers who like to just come on and share as much information as they can, including PR representatives, publishing companies, and I am looking to get my hands on a lawyer very, very soon for everybody. But
that's going to be so cool. A lawyer for everyone. You get to share him.
Well, there is somebody in the industry who is known as, I believe, game dev lawyer or something like that, who I'm going to be reaching out to over the next couple of weeks to see if I can get them to join us because, hey, you never know. And there's so much to be had on the legal side of things for independent development, but yeah, we'll get there. So let's start off with the fact that you'll notice some shifting of faces around. As you know, Chris is usually sitting next to me on the show, but today it's Adam and his amazing Lego. Wow. And goatee. Although I have to say, I don't feel so out of loss with not having facial hair this episode. Mainly because Danny, as you can see, he doesn't have the full-grown epic beard you would expect. And as you know, Patrick has fuzz. So
I'm counting as a half, I'd say.
A half. Okay.
Half a beard.
Half a beard. So we are also joined again by Patrick, who is with Elysian Shadows. Again, they had just hit their crowdfunding and got themselves funded through Kickstarter. Congratulations. And that goes to you as well, Danny, because you're also from Elysian Shadows as well.
I am, that's right.
So let's start off by introducing the person whom people who are watching may never have seen before. Let's start off with you, Daniel. You are an impetuous Danny. That is at least what you would like to be called.
Very impetuous.
Tell people a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what your history is in game design.
Design in general, yeah. By day, I'm...
Oh no, it's the wireless connection.
For more design and visual kind of things.
You might want to start the sentence from the start because you cut off in the perfect moment.
You cut off right as you went to answer.
Okay. I'm a web developer by day. That's what I use to pay the bills.
Well, we've gotten that from him.
He's a web developer with such bad internet, he can't do a whole sentence. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
It's not working there.
Wow. I can't even barely see either of you, to be honest.
I'm sure we look incredibly blurry. And hello, Stout Pint, welcome. So what we've gotten from you so far is, by day, you're a web developer. Does this mean by night you're Batman?
By night he waxes his modem to make it go faster.
Perhaps.
Or he feeds hamsters. I'm pretty sure at this point that his internet is hamster-powered.
Yes, it must be hamster-powered internet. So we know that you do web design, but what else do you do? Try and get it in.
Anything design-based, basically. Lately, it's more level design with Patrick on the Elysian Shadows team.
Level design. Ooh, now
There
is a topic that we can definitely dig into at some point. I feel so sorry if you're not hearing all of our sentences because the internets and the intertubes seem to be a little awkward for you. It's very weird. We will power on, though. We will continue. So
I think our next crowdfunding should be for better internet for that.
Yes, we need to get you better internet than wireless.
Or a charity drive.
Maybe. Maybe people will want that. Why don't you have the game out yet? Because we need better internets. It takes a while to transfer a 2 meg file.
I'm literally trying to make a git push, but it doesn't work.
Oh, gosh. Well, it gets a little bit forgiving if you want to get technical. It's a little forgiving depending upon your connection.
Yeah.
But, poor Danny. And I'm now curious as to what Adam is doing.
I've just noticed my laptop's not plugged in. So
We're so professional.
Today is all about being professional. Absolutely.
Josie, can I go back to eating, like, to complete the professional circle?
So
Can I
just
eat
to
my
check,
potatoes?
Josie, what time does this show start again? So it's any minute now, yeah? We should
Yeah.
start soon.
We should pretty much be starting very, very, very soon.
Awesome. Let's start now.
Hey, that sounds good. Are you guys in agreement? Shall we start the show now?
Let's do it. Just sing the theme tune and then we'll go.
Write the theme tune, sing the theme tune.
Sing it to me.
Boom, chicka, 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 boom, boom, chicka, 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 boom. And there, we have officially reached rock bottom here on the Datamine. Gosh. Right.
That's good. It can only go up.
It can only go up from here. Right.
Way to set expectation, guys.
That's what we're here for. So I'm going to attempt, Annie, to ask you one more question in hopes that you are able to answer it without too much trouble. So,
Sure.
Are you a gamer besides a designer? Do you like playing games?
Absolutely. Of course I
So,
do.
if you could have one technology from any game in the world and have it exist in reality, what technology would it be and why?
Ooh. I would say probably Cortana from the Halo series. And the reason I say that is because I would just stand and look at her all day and have a
So
talk.
basically Siri. You just want Siri because if you get an iPhone,
Well,
it kind of comes with that bit already, and you can download pictures of ladies to put on your phone. Little hint there.
well, I don't own an iPhone. That's my problem.
It's not as interactive though. Like you cannot ask for you cannot ask Siri for dance, for example.
True, but you also can't touch Cortana, so it's a bit of a imminent frustration coming there anyway.
Wow, so we learned something new. So apparently devs are just as bad as you guys think they are.
We are horrible people.
Right, so let's move into the topic of today. So last week we started talking about the art of Kickstarter, what it takes to prepare to do any kind of crowdfunding, whether you're going through Indiegogo or anything else, you need to prepare and prep. And it took us an entire episode to even scratch the surface of the preparation for crowdfunding. Now, when I made mention to Adam that we're going to be continuing and talking about crowdfunding, his reaction to it was sort of, oh, really? So before we go too far into actually getting into the next step of Kickstarter, what I'd like for you to do is give us sort of your version and appearance on how things come across and why you have sort of this, what I would call, a
negative attitude towards crowdfunding. Well, it's a number of things. I mean, first of all, we'll look at the big ones. We look at Elite and Star Citizen. They've made a lot of money. Cool. They now have zero commercial pressure to make a good game, and they have a shitty track record of making good games. Yes, Elite 2 was very good, 20 years ago. Since then, they've put out shite. Chris Roberts hasn't written a game in 12 years, 13 years, and suddenly he's got a gazillion dollars. The example I get, people go, oh, it will be good, it will be good. Very simple comeback, yeah, and you thought Aliens Colonial Marines was going to be good. So at this point, why should they even bother to write a good game? They've made a lot of money. They don't need to. People have short memories. You say, oh, if they write a shit game, they won't buy the next game. But if you guys have played Elite 4, you'll damn well know that last game was shit anyway, and they'll still do it. So that's my first concern, is you remove that commercial pressure, people will churn out stuff. At Towns, if you remember Towns, they kind of just dropped development, went, oh, well, we've made money. We don't give a shit anymore. Can't be bothered. On top of that, you get a lot of people doing Kickstarter, like Great Giant Sisters is probably the prime example of this one. Hi, we've got this game, we need it kickstarted. We've basically done the whole game, we would just like some more money. In that particular game, they finished the Kickstarter and shipped the game 6 weeks later. They'd already done the game. They didn't need the Kickstarter money. And a lot of these Kickstarters, they're there to provide financial security for the developer, which is a very noble goal, absolutely, but a lot of these, I can look at so many Kickstarters, and either they're massively overstating their budget, and you're like, what the hell are you spending this on? Or they're massively understating their budget, in which case you question, do you actually need this money? But the worst Kickstarter of all is, we've been working for 4 years on this game, and suddenly we need some money. It's like, well, you've managed to run it for 4 years. Why do you suddenly need the money? I've been working on this game in my spare time. It's like, well, why can't you continue to work on it in your spare time? I guess I'm of the old school. I firmly believe that game A costs X and it makes Y. The profit, that is what pays for game 2. The profit is what pays for game 3. The profit is what pays for game 4. The concept of people paying for your game before you've written it, and then you get people going, right, now we're doing our next Kickstarter for our next game. And I can't remember the name. There was one, and it was like the third in the series, and I was like, well, hold on a minute, did the second one in the series not make enough money? In which case, why the hell are you kickstarting it? Because obviously it was a commercial failure. None of this applies if you're just writing indie games for fun. So that's why, personally, I have very little truck with crowdsourcing Kickstarters. Generally speaking, from my point of view, I feel that the vast majority of them, they're wildly off target. I mean, you go, oh, we've made $300,000. It's like, great, that's 10 people for a year if you're really lucky. And you realize that when you're paying people properly and you've got offices, you've got salaries and overheads, that $500,000 disappears whoosh, like that. If you are very indie, you can do it in your spare time, you can go forever without spending your money. So that's why, death to all Kickstarters.
About the first concept, because I have a rebuttal to all of these.
You have a rebuttal for everything.
Yeah. About the first concern, I would say that in the perfect and idealistic world when we all are super intelligent, cautious, and noble people, then in the first case, the pressure to make a good game would be your reputation. Because if you let down people once, this one time, because if you make a game without a Kickstarter and your game is shit, then people can justify it as in like, yes, we got reviewers and we could have waited for demos, so we they didn't lose anything. But if you make a shitty Kickstarter game, then people already paid for it, and then you're in a world of trouble. So your next game will have a lot more problems to get the ground up.
So, but hold on, but your game, Elysian Trail, let's just say it's
Shadows.
Shit. Let's just Shadows. Sorry. Let's just say it's completely shit. Let's say you fuck it up and everybody hates it. Why the hell would your next Kickstarter have your name anywhere on it? It is incredibly easy to be anonymous on the internet. Your next Kickstarter, you say things like experienced indie devs, AAA.
Except you see, the problem is that it's not. Problem is that it's not, because you have to link if you want to start a Kickstarter as a company, you have to link to a name, legally speaking. Like you can find, at least by the Polish law, you can find my name, my address, my company number. You can find all of this data. Like it's impossible for me to disappear. Also, my nickname is now forever tied to my name. If I will start with another nickname and I will want to prove that I'm like experienced artist, then I need to build entirely new portfolio. Like I would have to forgo like 3 years of experience that I had to start a new identity, and that's pretty much impossible. And still,
but most people they don't base their Kickstarter choices on your experience. Let's be honest, they base it on how nice your trailer is and how nice your screenshots are.
Oh yeah, like that's why I said in the ideal imperfect world. Like in ideal imperfect world, and people would like scrutinize and they would do researches. I think like that's why actually we need people to pay more attention to Kickstarters. Like we need actual, scratching a little bit the surface of Gamersgate. That's why we need actual journalists that are doing research, proper research and inquiry on those Kickstarters. Like let's say, like the guy would, this hypothetical journalist would make a weekly roundup of Kickstarters, say, okay, so I tried to reach out to this dev X that has Kickstarter Y, and they didn't answer me. Automatically, it's something fishy, and people read about it, and they will be more wary about it. So, but we don't have these.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can shoot your argument down with one name. Simply, people have short memories, and I can prove this. Peter Molyneux. every game, I promise this, I promise that. Oh, we didn't quite deliver it. We kind of. Well, look, I have this cool new game. Oh, we didn't We didn't deliver on that. But we have this cool new game, and every single.
To be fair, I never pay attention. Like I like listening to Peter Molyneux because it's entertaining. Like, yeah, it's a substitute for bedtime stories that my mother used to tell me. Like it's actually very relaxing when you know this nice and calm British voice when you want to go to sleep and have a pleasant dreams. You listen to Peter Molyneux. But about his games, you just pay attention to his games and what they actually represent. I liked Fable 1. I genuinely like Fable. Not the next ones, but I like the Fable 1.
Okay.
I genuinely think that
people quote him. People still give him money. They kickstarted his Goddess game.
Yeah.
Directly on the back of Cube, and it's one of those things that you simply.
To be fair,
people have terrible memories.
I have to pop in here. I have to pop in here. Zumba Pup points out Peter Molyneux is full of shit. Apparently he can't drive for shit too. So I just want to make sure that we got Zumba Pup in here. And hi Zumba.
Yeah.
And also hello Mr. McCarthy's. I know you guys are going to go off on something, but I want to give Danny the opportunity to jump in as a rebuttal either for or against and how we look at things. And Zumba Pup points out Fable wasn't Molyneux. So
that's why it was so good.
See, all of a sudden people were like, oh, well, no wonder. Now, what I'm going to throw to you, Danny, is this the first Kickstarter that you guys, or that you as an individual have been personally involved in?
Be honest.
Don't let your internet not answer.
Come on, say it again.
Yes, it is our first Kickstarter. I didn't hear what you said after that.
Okay, so it's your first Kickstarter for you as an individual. How much research did you do to prepare for it? Because I think some of the things that are being brought up by both Patrick and by Adam here involve people not having enough awareness of what to use crowdsourcing for. So
True.
For you yourself as an individual, how much did you put into this? Did you just go, fine, we'll just do it? Or did you actually put a hell of a lot of work into it?
It was around 3 months before the campaign launched where we began to actually do our own research on other successful and unsuccessful Kickstarters. It wasn't like we went in blind. Myself, I travelled to America for an entire month just on my own money. It was paid by myself just to sit in a room for a month and research Kickstarters and plan our own.
And he dropped. I mean, he went and spent time with Falco.
Can I say,
yes,
so was that 3 months for one person, or was that 3 months for a team? And if so, how big was that team?
You mean doing our research?
Yeah, I'm curious, essentially,
team.
to put. So, and how big's the team?
At the time, 7.
So let me get straight. So it cost you, money-wise, a quarter of a year's development for 7 people to get the Kickstarter. Is that?
No. That's not right. It was 7 people spending time. It wasn't we spent 3 months entirely just on the Kickstarter campaign. Admittingly, there were certain members of the team that spent more time on it because what they were working on at the time wasn't. It didn't take up most of the day. For example, my working day for Illusion Shadow starts at around about 6 p.m. at night. So from 6 p.m. at night, I would come in, check in with the team, make sure major at the time launched the website, the maintenance for that. I would do that, and then from then on, I would go out, bring up all the Kickstarters, successful, unsuccessful, write down what they did bad, what they did good, a subjective opinion on that, then go and find out why they actually failed or why they were successful based on the people that funded or didn't end up funding them regardless. Then I would relay that to the team through the forums, through Skype, whichever. They would share their opinions, and eventually we came up with kind of pages and pages and even whiteboard full of basically our own campaign through that. We didn't just sit and think, okay, we'll just fill the page with fancy screenshots and a fancy trailer. This is what we want the money for. This is kind of what we'll give people, and then hope for the best. It was meticulously planned for 3 months.
I mean, that's my question. So you've got a team of 7 people. You tell me, roughly speaking, how much did running that Kickstarter, researching it, cost? Because I mean, the other big one, the Carmageddon one, there was about 20 of them for 3 months, and it sold through the Kickstarter. But obviously, that is I mean, even if you're working for free, that's still costing you time and money that you could be doing other things. It's one of those questions that, how much, if you were to put an hourly rate, a daily rate, whatever, on those people, how much did that Kickstarter cost you, in the sense that that is time that you could have obviously spent actually working on the game? I'm just curious, because people say to it's free, you just fill in the page and it's done. But if you've got to spend 6 months researching, that's 6 months of essentially
the opportunity cost. You mean?
Yes. I mean, but honestly, I cost X pounds per hour. If I suddenly put 100 hours into something, I'm not going to charge my own company, but my company has effectively been paying for my time to do the Kickstarter. I'm getting curious, from your point of view, how much do you think? How much did that Kickstarter cost you? Even if it didn't really cost you any actual money, how much? If you were to pay people, if you were to say go out and hire people to do the Kickstarter again, going right, we're going to do this Kickstarter, how much time and obviously cost would that be?
I couldn't give you a figure. I really couldn't.
Roughly,
I mean, if
6
I would
months,
estimate,
12 months.
I could estimate. So we had Falco. Okay, so we had Falco, which is like our lead engine developer, and he also needs to implement some more features. So his job is not really done, and those are features that are actually actively held back somehow to invest. It's crucial, but he spent most of his certainly last 1.5 months. Like, I would say the 3 months, the first 1.5 months was sort of like a job whenever he was like researching the Kickstarter, whenever he got stuck on a feature. So, as a break from the major thing to optimize the time. And then the last 1.5 months were definitely like full on research. And then the same would go for Tyler, which is our scripter guy. The level builder and other guy. And then our musician, actually, Connor, he did a lot of PR and contacting other outlets as well. But then again, he didn't have anything else really to do, because in order to make music for levels, he needs levels, so he was waiting anyway. So he also, there's technically no opportunity cost there, because it would be time wasted.
Well, that's exactly what ZumbaPuff has just brought up, because Adam, it's not quite so easy to market as a cost, because some of that time comes in as time you might otherwise spend being lazy ass, such as just reading email or watching films instead. So some of it might actually be eating work time. And so as what Patrick's saying, it doesn't have to be an actual work time cost per se. It could be, this is the time I'd spend watching Game of Thrones. Instead, I'm going to read about Kickstarter. I'm going to research Kickstarter. I'm going to research Indiegogo. I'm going to go look at, trends and other stuff.
So the only time when I would say it actively took from our development time was like the last month. And for that, I would say you would need, in order to be optimal, I think 2 people is enough that are doing research, and then third person that's doing various art assets that are in, like, banners, stuff like that, other promo art, and the page composition. So you have 3 people for 1 month that are doing research, and that depends on your location and your cost, because let's say, honestly, my cost of my opportunity cost in Poland is a lot smaller than, let's say, someone in Singapore when they're living for like $100 a day, where I spend $100 on a week.
But so, I mean, if you look at a mammoth, so you've got full time.
So it's it's 1 month for 3 people for like 8 hours per day, and that's your opportunity cost.
And a bit of, obviously, it was 3 months total. So you're looking at, let's say, 5 man months of time to get a successful Kickstarter. I mean, that is obviously a lot. I mean, if you're a guy working in your spare time and you say, I'm going to do a Kickstarter, you need to then realize that you're a single guy and everything else is the same, probably it won't be, that you are going to spend 5 months of 8 hours a day, or 10 months of 4 hours a day to achieve the work that you guys achieved. And this is the thing. I've seen people say, we should just do a Kickstarter, and now we say 5 months is a great number to put on a game. This will take 5 bad months. You need to be aware of that if you're deciding to do a Kickstarter. That it is. It's not just fill this shit in. It does take a lot of time.
But it also depends. It also depends on what's your goal. Because our goal was quite big, especially for someone that for team that technically haven't released a game before. So it's our first title, which was like 150,000. which is quite a lot. Even though in game development it's not a lot, but for people it's a lot, and I think like that's all that matters, the perception. If you're a single guy, you probably wouldn't go for 150. You would go for like more like 30, 35, 50, like 1 year, and then plus another, as I say, like 70 max. And then you obviously you don't need to do as much research, I guess.
I mean, I have one question. So, nice, easy maths. You got $150,000. You have 7 people, so that is approximately $20,000 per person for a year.
It's not because we divide it accordingly to who needs what, not some sort of like notion of quality. And also, right now we're like 5 people. Because we had to let 2 other people go.
Okay, so you're at 30,000 average. So. Okay, and the question, so I mean, what's that in real money? £20,000. So that's about, you're paying people about what they'll get for working at McDonald's for a year. So no.
So let's do this. Well, let's start here, because you guys, one of the key things that you guys made certain of is being very clear about how you're going to be spending this money. You wanted people to know. So break down for us how you guys were looking to use the money that was crowdfunded into your game.
Okay, well, first of all, you've got to realize that Kickstarter and Amazon themselves take a charge from your whatever it is that you raise, not just the goal, whatever the eventual amount you raise is, and it's 5% for each. So it's full 10% that's just gone. Then
isn't that 5% for Kickstarter and then another 2% for Amazon?
I think
so it's 10% together. So it's 10% together. Yeah.
Let's be honest, the real winners of this are Kickstarter.
Alabama.
Yes, they are.
And then there are also, like, as I mentioned, federal tax and then state tax.
Yep. So that's another great big lump of money gone. So in our case, obviously the 2, I say main, but Falco and Tyler, who basically quit their jobs to do this full time, they would take enough, and they didn't even eventually get enough to actually live a normal life. They have to kind of make some sacrifices. Then there was obviously Patrick, who will probably become a full-time artist, or has already, so he would take a decent cut, and then there's myself and Connor. Obviously, I have a day job, my bills are paid, excuse me, so I can just do it as I've been doing at night with my own free time. It costs me nothing. It's like mentioned before, I would usually be sat around reading books, watching TV, watching Netflix, whatever, so I'm fine with that. And then there's obviously Connor, who has a job and also goes to university, so he'll be doing the same. I mean, we've been doing this for a while and spending basically as much time as we can anyway, so we're already dedicated to it. So really the money went to Patrick, Falco, and Tyler, and taxes.
I mean, to compare, like, Falco and Tyler needs way more. Like, I'm living on $700 per month, to be frank. It's borderline poverty, to be honest, as you could see from my shirt before, which is tattered, and I look like a hobo, but I'd say that I rock a hipster look. But no, like, it's a fairly low raw quality life, but then again, I'm a minimalist, I don't really do much. But so, definitely, it's not like indie money and I'm living like a king and making it rain. No, it's not like that. You're actually wasting a lot on taxes and fees. And also remember that all the goods that we promise, like t-shirts and physical copies, they have to be produced and paid for it as well. And shipping cost is big as well.
I mean, that leads me to one of my points is that obviously, if you said $150,000, you're like, I can get a Ferrari with that. Nice. It seems like a lot. But it doesn't. So my next question, you kind of ran into my second point. So you're essentially telling me that 2 of you are working for free, and 3 of you are basically more or less working for almost no money, and you have been. So my question is, why did you need the money in the first place? You've got to this point without any money. Why could you not have completed the game with the money? What was your personal need for crowdsourcing?
Well, like I said, our 2 main developers quit their jobs full time to do this, so they would need, and obviously they receive the bare minimum to live for the next 18 months to get the game to release. There's obviously administration fees, so if we want to actually do some decent promotion, going to conventions, etc., they need to be paid for as well. Obviously.
Sigh.
Dan, you're breaking my heart and your internet.
Some to put more.
So you got to the part about conventions, and it's something we've mentioned here before on this show. Conventions are not cheap. People might think that anyone can just show up and put up a stand. Depending upon the convention, it's a bit of a nightmare. I mean, like, for example, Eurogamer is coming up, and there is the Left Field collection that you can get involved in, but you still have to pay to put your feet and a table, quote unquote, on the floor. It is costly, so that is something to consider.
Some events,
Some
events will cost £25,000 for a stand upwards at the larger events.
Wow.
The smallest I know of at Eurogamer at EGX, I believe that was £2,500, and for that you got one table, one computer, and it was like an extra $1,000 for each extra computer you wanted. So you are looking there easily. You're looking at 10% of your Kickstarter just evaporating into turning up to a convention. And then you want to do PAX and E3 and Eurogamer and Gamescom. You're like, that's all our Kickstarter money gone just to go to these places. It's horrible.
You bring up hold on 1 second. You bring up a really valid point here, and I want to make sure we tackle it. So for those of us who are in this just to make games because we love games, we're doing it wrong if we want to make money. What we should do is be hosting conventions so people pay us, or building websites for crowdsourcing, because that's where the real money is. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, if I can go back to actually, why go full time instead of doing it part time as you used to, I actually I was already working like sort of half time on Elysian Shadows because Falco was paying me for his day job. Already for like a couple of weeks. But here's the problem: if I'm working, like, let's say I'm taking another, because I'm full-time artist anyway, so I work on games for money anyway. So let's say if I'm like 8 hours per day working, like making pixel art, because my god, everyone wants a goddamn pixel art right now, and it's squashing my soul and makes me puke. But if it pays my bills, my god, I will do it. So here's the first problem: if I'm doing 8 hours pixel art per day, I literally don't feel like doing it for a passion project afterwards. Like, I'm just sick of it. Like, it's just too much the same in my life. Like, it feels almost like being a factory worker in 18th century, like during Industrial Revolution. So, it's actually pretty jarring on your mentality. And then even let's say that I'm soulless robot that solely exists to churn out art assets, because sometimes I can identify with soulless robots. They have feels too. Wait, that doesn't. Anyway, so let's say that I have time and I'm willing to make like part time on Elysian Shadows. Then we're talking about half an environment, like half of a sprite sheet, like not even counting about enemies, anything, per month, because I'm the only artist currently at the team. Because we also normal map them, and so it's like half of the level. If I'm working full time, I can make entire level, maybe starting also enemies on the same level within a week. So it's 8 times as faster. So we're talking, if I would be, because it's hard to get free artists on a team, let's be honest. Like, if they can get paid for their job, why would they work for free, right? And then they're not, like, you cannot depend on those kind of people. Like, I know, I've been there. Like, we had like free artists on the team. So it's either we're gonna finish this game in 8 years, art-wise, or in a year. So that's why Kickstarter.
See, I think that's one of the things that has to be kept in mind. I mean, technology advances, and if you are working on something that by the time you go to release it, technology has so vastly moved on, you have to kind of go back and do a reiteration of the engine or whatever. That just adds to it. I can see what people.
Speed and sanity.
Oh, hold on. What was that, Adam?
Duke Nukem Forever. Duke Nukem Forever, they suffered from that. They progressed so slowly. They kept on saying, "Oh, this game looks better. We need to start again to be better. We need to start again to be better." And you're always playing catch up if you're not developing quickly enough. Yeah, absolutely agree.
And in the wake of that topic, I think
if you're trying to be like the next greatest art thing, well, and then good luck competing with the AAA studios. If you're looking at doing the latest and greatest, although I will tell you, the new MMO called Wander that is being developed by an independent company out of Australia. They're going to be joining us for our shows soon, but their entire concept is about beauty and art and an MMO, and of course, no combat and no competition. It's going to be really interesting having them on here to talk about what they're doing. But if you're trying to be innovative, I don't think indies get a chance to do that because you are literally limited by what you have resource-wise. And I'm not talking about the money. I'm talking about getting your hands on the licenses for the different engines. I'm talking about getting your hands on the artists who have that skill set that you want to implement. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think it nicely actually transcends into other topic as to why do you make Kickstarter if it only funds your next game, and then for your next game you will have to make the Kickstarter? So why not make if you were able to make this game so far, why do you suddenly jump the ship? So it's basically if you feel confident in your abilities in making next games. We all know that if you start a business, you need some sort of capital, and your capital when you're going to Kickstarter is the game that you did so far, and then you take, let's say, a year to make the final stretch, as I say, final year instead of 8 years, and then you have basically the development of the game that paid for. So you release the game, you start out fresh, and you can start selling game. And if you're blessed enough, your game sells good enough that you can continue working on your next game, and you can actually get a bit of a leeway. And if you don't, then you can always get back to work because, honestly, good programmers are always in demand. So even if you're gonna quit your job, you can find other ones. I mean, that were the Falcos and Tyler's experience. They said that when they quit their jobs, they got 4 other job offers instantly. So they're
That's like you, poor Adam, Mr. Developer over there.
Well,
I'm indie now. Well.
I mean, I spent about 2 years writing indie games in my part-time before I quit, and that's what we did for 2 years. We released 10 games in those 2 years. Fortress Craft took, in my spare time, 10 weeks and 6 days from conception to release. So it is absolutely possible, and that was a team of 5 people again. It's absolutely possible to do games in your spare time in a lot less than 8 years. I mean, obviously, your game is a much more art-driven game, and as I've looked at it, we don't have those sort of issues. But it's something that Kickstarter is not always the solution, and I think that's part of my problem with Kickstarter is everyone sees that as, we'll just do a Kickstarter, we'll get the money and we'll do it. And I think a lot of the games
with your years of
they don't earn them.
I think it's a good option.
I counter that with your years of experience. I mean, I think one of the reasons why a lot of us get gun shy when it comes to funding through crowdsource is there are a lot of people who don't understand what the true purpose is, and they will abuse it. And we've discussed it before the show. We were talking about certain Kickstarters that abuse the people who made donations and things like that. And it is unfortunately a part of society. You've got to be an informed consumer. It makes a difference how you look at it. But you also have, Adam, how many years of experience in game development?
30.
Okay. Are either of you two older than 30?
No.
Okay. So right there, you've got a wealth of experience under your belt. Now, you've been in the game industries for so long that you know people. So if you come up with an idea, you go, I know someone who's really good at this particular type of creative design or particularly good at sprites or really good at animation. I'm going to hit them up and see if they want to be a part of this brief project. You have access to those kinds of resources. A lot of people who are starting out and who I believe in, for example, the Faria team, for example, Legion Shadows, these are people who want to do it, but they don't have what I would consider your wealth of knowledge and resources, which makes you such an expensive individual. I mean, I know we have to pay you in cookies and Lego in order to keep you on the Datamine, and that's a really tough thing.
2 boxes of Lego.
Lego are expensive.
They are really expensive if you want to get technical.
And good cookies don't come cheap too. Like, you need a quality chocolate, you need a quality flour for this dough. Like, I would say that Arcas.
You want oatmeal cookies, don't you? Oatmeal raisin.
Absolutely. Yeah.
See?
Raisin.
Well, those take skill to make. Like, oatmeal cookies are not easy to make, to make them well. It's very easy to I mean, I wanted to swear, but I said like make really bad oatmeal cookies. It's
Interesting.
very
We've had a counter argument come in from Zumba Pup. At some point, Zumba Pup, I may just say screw it and force you to come onto our show frequently. Although you work, darn you, for having an education thing that you teach people with. But he says he doesn't think it's true. People who are experienced tend to want to be paid, so you can't really rely on your circle of friends. Have you found that to be the case, Adam? Or can you get some people behind you and then say once it makes money, everyone gets a fixed price?
Yeah.
Or
I think Patrick's comment was dead on the money. I know lots of people. I know people at probably every major game studio in the world, but they have a day job, and quite a lot of them, they don't want to come home and do the same thing in the evenings. And without saying to him, look, I'll give you 80 grand for the next 2 years up front, they don't want to quit their job necessarily. You're quite, I mean, this kind of boils back more down to the fact that the people who are doing the Kickstarting are not doing their due diligence. If someone has a great idea, brilliant, wonderful. What did you do before? Best example, I think, in this one, I don't know if you ever saw the Eurogamer preview of Space Hulk. It just went, Space Hulk, Space Hulk, Space Hulk, Space Hulk, Space Hulk. 20 pages of the word Space Hulk. And they're like, Space Hulk, Space Hulk. And I was like, oh, cool. They're obviously very excited. I actually looked up the developer who did Space Hulk, and they'd done a bunch of shit mobile games before. And I was like, this game's going to be shit. Absolutely. They've done nothing good, and lo and behold, it was shit.
Was the Space Hulk the game when you were like a couple of Juggernaut Marines or something like that crawling to the...
Yeah,
that was shit.
It was awful, absolutely awful. But they were super excited about it because of the license, and they didn't do any research. Like, you're right back to Gamergate. No fucking journalistic integrity whatsoever. You're not a 14-year-old boy. You don't get to jump up and down a license. Do your research. You go, this game has been announced. It's by these developers. They have currently done this game and this game and this game. We haven't reviewed these games, but because they're doing this big license, we're going off. We're going to look at them. And they've been shit. I don't care how good your fucking video is. Look at Planetary Annihilation. Dear fucking God. That video made me sex weed. It was great. The game, big pile of shit. 6 out of 10 on Eurogamer, and that was being generous. And it's...
To be fair, we felt like, because we're getting into very ravey about poor journalists, and to be fair, like, not all of them are horrible. Case in a point, even though he doesn't really call himself journalist, Total Biscuit, he makes a point of always bringing up the background of the developer.
Wait, hold on. This is the Total Biscuit who, and I quote, on Castle Miner went, of course, this game sold quite well on the indie gaming platform, the X-Big, but nobody really went there. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Castle Miner is the 4th best-selling digital Xbox game of all time. We're number 5. That's why I happen to know that one.
Well, but it's like, he's only one, and you should you should never take all of your opinions from only one source. He's only one, and it's one they happen to hold in quite high regard because he actually tries to make some research. At least he tries, while a lot of other outlets don't even get that extra mile. So if we could, so I think it also speaks about the quality of the industry that we have. If that's the best we can get.
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, in that case, I tweeted him going, actually, you're completely wrong. The sales figures are huge. Completely ignored. But the thing is, because he has said that, I've had people come back and say that to me, going, oh, well, yeah, but and it's so well for an indie game. I'm like, no, I sold well for any game. I shipped over 1 million units. It's crazy for a digital title to ship that many. And they're like, oh, I did, but Total Biscuit said that, no one really went to the indie section. I'm like, he was wrong.
This is where I have to jump in as somebody who is a games journalist, and I have to make a statement here. When I go to do any kind of look at a game, I'm looking at a game for its playability, and I try to take the game for what it's worth in itself. Because, yes, I can look at a game that someone else has done in the past, and I can sit there and go, okay, that was shit, but this means this one's automatically going to be shit. Not necessarily. If I can see progress, if I can see that this is the game that they did, I played it, I didn't quite like it because it had a very clunky feel to it. It had certain bugs that just seemed that they didn't really pay attention to, even though they were game breaking. I mean, I can look at it from that perspective, but I try to take each game that I look at as its own individual game. I try to take it for what it's worth, because I firmly believe not every person who is developing a game has an agenda to change the world. They're not trying to necessarily teach us the latest, greatest message to make us better human beings. Instead, they might be producing something of content that is just fun. Great example of this. Came straight out of bloody Reddit. Goat Simulator. Okay? This entire concept behind Goat Simulator was simply Reddit basically gone a little wild. Don't go to that particular /r. I'm sorry. But, you know, the game itself, for what it is worth, if you take it for what it was made for. Fun, horrible entertainment, and the use of physics on an extreme level. Yes, you can turn into a demon goat. Yes, you can turn into an angel goat. Yes, you can fly. But if you take it for just what that is, it's not trying to be the one that saves world hunger. It's not trying to be the one that teaches us about women and men and the world that we live in that is full of diversity. It's just an entertaining game to watch your goat fly and explode and get hooked on things. You take it for what it's worth.
Out of curiosity, can you name me a developer that's done a shit game and then their next game has been spectacular? I mean, if you look at the very best, you know, you look at Gearbox and people did Bioshock.
I'm actually having
to they were good. And good crap in the case of like ID Software or something. But I am struggling to think. I mean, Relic, good across the board. Someone who's done shit game, amazing game will skip the Angry Birds ones for the moment. So.
It's been more along the types of the people have been shifting across the industry into other places. So the teams that they work on have either made them better in the end. Because what I've noticed, at least, you bring up a valid point. What I tend to notice is that the game kind of goes great, really shitty game. Really, like, you should never have released the third iteration of that, or you should never have tried to make that game. That just is absolutely horrible. They sort of have that trend, but people who I just can't remember. I can see his face, I can see the hair, I can see the sideburns. Someone didn't do a very exceptional game, and they just went and joined another team, went to work for another company, and the game that they were involved in was better. But that's sort of a sum whole of all the parts of the people involved in the machine to make the machine better. And this actually leads back to one of the things you brought up with one of your counter arguments against crowdsourcing at the very, very start, almost bringing us full circle, which is kind of crazy. You know, you said that when you have people who have the ability to just willy-nilly go out there and fling their junk across Indiegogos and Kickstarters and all the other crowdsourcing things out there.
Fling their junk into it.
When you have the ability to do that, you lose the commercial demands that are placed upon you to do well. You could not be that aware because you're like, oh, you know, this game isn't going to sell very well, but we can get people to Kickstarter it and it'll be fine. That's not the right mentality to walk into crowdsourcing with. In fact, that's very unfair to the people who would actually be donating to your game. But if you don't have a level of knowledge of the commercial draw, if you're not paying attention to the market, if you're not watching the market audience or things like that, it can have a very nasty impact. And you could come out with a shit game at the wrong time or the greatest game at the wrong time. I mean, you tell me something, Adam. Have you ever worked on a game that if it had just waited another 2 years to be released, not because it could get more development time, but simply because the world wasn't ready for it yet? Have you worked on a game like that?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, Fortress Craft, if I'd released Fortress Craft 6 months earlier or 6 months later, it would have been a nothing. But we happened to release it at the height when everyone was talking about voxel games and Minecraft this and Guncraft that, and we were the popular type thing. And same thing. If I made Flappy Birds and released it 2 years ago, nothing. If I make Flappy Birds and release it in 2 years' time, nothing. But at that particular second when that guy released Flappy Birds, it was the right time. And that can so make and break your game. It's just pure luck. I can name loads of games I've played and I love and are brilliant games that have flopped. And then you look at something like Driver 3 or Enter the Matrix, which sold billions of copies and were awful games. Just the timing was right, and marketing, press, and all that stuff.
We've had some names pop up in chat. We've had Mythalore say Rovio. We've had the Commandadira say Shingaro Miyamoto.
Who?
Shingaro Miyamoto.
Is that the Mario guy? Because he started pretty good in that case.
Yet some of the later games are crap.
Yeah, but it's more a question of who started crap and got good. Generally speaking, teams and names tend to start good and go downhill, or stay good and stay flat, or stay bad and stay flat. I wouldn't necessarily Angry Birds is better or worse than Rovio's 51st game, just happened to sell more. I didn't play anything by Rovio before Angry Birds.
Shiguro.
Nobody did. That's kind of like,
I would tend to say that everyone basically starts crap and then they get better. Like, I mean,
really? Gearbox
like,
Broadlands was pretty good as a start.
No, I'm talking people. I'm talking
was
individuals.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I'm talking individuals, like people that as you start you're kind of shit, and then over time you get practice and you get better.
But you
like,
are not.
That seems like a logical.
But you are not your team. Your team has a name. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my head. You are the sum of your parts. If this is your first game, I assume this is the one why people will measure
As a
you.
team, yes.
As a team, individual. I mean, my God, if you look at say Criterion shifted about 1,000 people in and out in the 5 years I was there, and only about 10 people actually stayed constant. But that doesn't matter. It's your output as a team, unless you are well, I say Phil Fish is a bad example because actually Phil Fish is got a massive team behind him, which he never talks about. But yeah, it's a question of your team's output rather than personal output. I mean, my God, I started shit and got better.
And I think I think only time will tell, because we also, even though we're a very young team, we also shifted quite a lot of people. Like I like to keep track of artists because that gives me a nice point to speak against hiring free artists. Like since I joined the team, it was like 8. I think that now it's 9. Just people that came and went, and it's destructive to the team's composition, but there's another point. But yeah, I think like only time will tell, and I think like the talk about the commercial pressure and its importance in the creative process of making video games, it's important thing to talk about, but we simply don't have enough data yet. Like I think we need to wait under 2-3 years of Kickstarter to wait for all those like great grants, sorry, not great because we know they're great, but they were grants certainly, all those like big Kickstarter games, to wait for them and see released to see whether they're good, and then if we have to
hold on, you say that, hold on. Which ones are you waiting for? Because Elite, Star Citizen, Planetary Annihilation, Carmageddon, Double Fine Adventures, they're all out. And to be quite frank, they're all a bit fucking run-of-the-mill.
Wasteland 2, it's not out yet.
Isn't the alpha available for that one?
It's early access.
Wasteland 2 will be out
Come
Friday
on.
morning.
And I'm pretty sure I've only heard fairly mediocre things about that one. I might be getting accused of the other one.
That's going to be
there's
interesting. We have a
other
team
ones
member
that
here at
basically-
MMOBuff who is going to be streaming it and putting my face on one of the characters, because apparently you can take people's faces and put them on to your group party members. So my face is going to be on a Wasteland 2 figurine running around, and will be interesting because we're going to be live streaming that from 7 a.m. Friday morning.
I think if we want to make any sort of quantification, we have small sample size to begin with, and then we don't have any control group as well, because like we don't know what those game developers will do if they wouldn't get Kickstarter, or we don't I think we just need to wait and see about like the next game. If they will never make any game after the Kickstarter game ever again, after the Kickstarter game was mediocre, then that speaks volumes. If they're gonna make another game and it's also gonna be mediocre and it's won't gonna sell well and they will have to close studio, that also speaks volumes. But if they're gonna make a better game, that also speaks volumes. Like, you see what I'm saying? I think we lack perspective. At least I lack perspective to make any sort of precise and informed opinion.
I actually have a question for you. So you guys got $150,000, and you've already pointed out you've paid a bunch of tax. And why didn't you go to the bank with a business plan? Why crowdfund instead of the traditional method? You have a business, you have something you want to do. Why not a much more traditional method of getting the money?
I would say even like ignore banks. What about publishers? Like, we could go to publisher, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
But what?
I mean, you try. I mean, I assume. Have you like ever tried to sell your game to a publisher? Like, have you tried to pitch your game?
Oh my God.
You know how it goes.
Absolutely.
And you're still asking.
But did you?
It's
very well said.
You would have,
No one would
to ask Falco.
We'll have to bring Falco on here. Tell Falco he's here.
God.
He's got to come on. That's going to be a show where I'm going to have a beep buzzer ready.
So
yes.
I think my most famous one there is Lemmings. Lemmings, the Psygnosis. So they went to DMA Design, now Rockstar, went to 17 developers, publishers, and they all said no. And it was only the third time they went back to Psygnosis. They went, "Oh, go on, nobody will buy it." Turned out to be the biggest hit of the 90s. But you're telling me, oh no, they won't want my game, but you didn't approach them. So your first call was Kickstarter. You didn't go bank loan, publishers, Kickstarter. You went straight to Kickstarter. I'm not having a go. I'm curious. Why not go with the traditional methods? Why jump straight to crowdfunding?
I wonder if some people realize there are such things as traditional methods. Remember, you've been in the industry longer than these guys have been alive.
They might not even know. Yeah, but to be fair, like I'm not Falco, so I can't tell. I would assume, but big caveat: don't take it as a word of God. Like I'm not sure. I'm not sitting in his head. But since the guy developed his own engine, his own toolkit, and his own toolset, I think like the worry would be the licensing of the tools, and then having to essentially sell off your life's work of and because the guy developed his own engine, his own toolkit that's multi-platform. It can put out stuff on the Dreamcast and rest of the major platforms, stuff like that. Like I'm not a programmer, but I think like it's a pretty impressive piece of tech, and I'm pretty sure he would get like really shitty deal for it. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know, and I might be wrong, but I'm willing to guess.
It's one of those things I'm going to point out right now. Every country, every city in America, every state in America, every country has their own things that they're willing to look at and what they're not willing to look at for funding. We know that right now in the world we're affected by some kind of thing called some kind of recession or something like that. And, they're going to be a lot more hesitant. But one could argue, not saying that this is the case, but one could argue that means that these banks and these publishers are going to be a lot more strict about the type of games they bring in, which could stunt the industry or help the industry. Again, that's a debate for another time. But even Guernicus pops up with, surely going to the bank, you owe money. Crowdfunding, you don't.
Yeah, and then Zumba says, if you're on the hook if things go tits up. So what you're essentially saying to me, to look at it from a very cynical point of view, is you should do crowdfunding because there's no risk. If you go to a bank, they damn well want their money back.
Actually, you are legally binded to fulfill your you actually have to deliver what you promise.
I don't think that's the case.
Backers can organize class action suit against you, at least in America, if you do not deliver.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's if you're in America. Now imagine you're someone who's, let's say you're in Poland,
Poland, nice. Yeah.
Okay, you're in Poland and you put it up, and people in America come after you. Welcome to international law. It's not exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in Poland, but Falco's in America.
The
team's lead is actually in America, and is American.
I don't believe you are particularly legally responsible. I mean, the people who put it in, they are investment. You are not promising the final guaranteed product. If you fail in development, well, welcome to investment. That's how investment is. Certainly with the physical rewards, you're still not legally bound to do that. Yeah. And honestly, you hear a lot of class action lawsuits getting put together. I can't even remember the last one that actually went through. That's the thing. It's big news. Class action lawsuit. Colonial Marines has a fucking class action lawsuit, and Gearbox are like, seriously, we're not liable for this. The game's shit. You bought it. We don't. There's nothing we can do. Yogscast, obviously, the big one. Same thing.
That pulled actually quite small evolution in terms of laws of advertising and consumer protection, at least in Poland. At least in Europe. So there is that. One could argue that Colonial Marines was false advertising and directly misleading consumers. So there was something about that. One could argue, yes.
If that's false advertising, every single game since the beginning of fucking color photography needs to as a class action lawsuit. So yeah.
I mean, not class action lawsuit.
It is what it says on the tin.
They were talking about the talks of making an announcement before a trailer this is not indicative of this, or this was rendered on PC, or this was rendered on superior hardware than it is going to run for, stuff like that. Because right now they have to say this is not indicative of the finished product, and that isn't pejorative enough. That can be taken as something, they're gonna improve on the game, right? That can sound positive, but it never is. Let's be honest. I think they were they're trying to make it sound way more negative. So there is that.
Well, see, now this is the thing. I'm going to now let you guys both shut up for a bit, and I'm going to pick on Danny.
Aww.
Aww.
We're going to see if we can't weasel some more words out of Danny without him being interrupted by the internet troll hamsters that seem to have taken root in his router. Router? I don't even know anymore. Depends on what country you're in. But for you, were you, when it came to the entire Kickstarter idea and the research that you did, because as you said, you flew over to America to do a lot of research, etc. Did you, when you were looking at why Kickstarters failed, why they succeeded, did you actually look at the games themselves, or were you looking at, in particular, oh, they didn't have enough pictures up, or they didn't offer enough tiering, or, I mean, did you actually look into the games themselves, or were you just looking at, hey, they did a pretty picture on their page, and that's what's going to make us successful? I mean, how much depth did you put into this research? And now we wait.
Well, when you immediately go to the campaign pages, that's the first thing that hits you is the pictures. It looks good. That's generally what will grab the people's attention when they go to the page. That's the first draw to them even backing your campaign. But what we did is, I'm not going to mention names, but there's some that were just weren't complete, and that's the kind of thing we started to notice. It's more about how you present your product to the audience. If your product is more complete, more closer to release, they're more likely to back your campaign. But what we noticed other campaigns doing is disguising it by making it appear that they're more finished than what they actually are.
Mm-hmm.
It was a strange trend that we noticed. So without mentioning names again, we kind of went to their websites, followed the trail, and really discovered a few of them. It's just images. It's just images.
Yeah.
That's what they're selling. They're selling pictures. So yes, we did it. We researched the games.
That goes back to what Adam was saying earlier. You know, one of we were talking about one of the games that put themselves up on Kickstarter 6 weeks later, actually pushed the game out, which means they were pretty much done with the game. If you're able to pimp a game out that bloody quick, why would you go to Kickstarter to begin with? So is there a particular...
The answer there, boy, it's simple. They're using it as a pre-order system. Lots of people are doing that, and that is bad for everything. Yes, advertising, absolutely.
So what percentage should you feel your game should be at before you would even feel, I should say, that you are respecting the people who are going to be donating to you? I mean, what would you come up with, Adam? I'm going to pick on you first because you're so anti-crowdsource. It's great.
I would say it's a chicken and egg situation. If you can afford to get your game to the point where you can say, look at this kick-ass thing I'm looking, it looks really gorgeous, you don't need the crowdfunding. Crowdfunding, in my mind, is a horrible catch-22. If you're in a situation where you have a great idea and it requires tech and art, that's what you need the money for. You guys, say Daniel, you're really lucky you've had this kick-ass artist. He will work for you basically because he believes in the project. You haven't paid him because obviously you don't have the money, but you need all that art. I mean, I've looked at your Kickstarter and you've got all this lovely art and tech, and that money needs to come from somewhere. It's almost as if you need a Kickstarter saying, I've got a good idea, so you can get this 5-man months worth of money to pay people to put your Kickstarter together. And that's where Kickstarter all falls down. You'd say, look at Planetary Annihilation. My God, I don't want to know how much all their trailers and stuff cost. You know,
here's the point, Arcas. Like, Arcas, I wasn't working for free. Falco was paying me from either his pay or his savings, and the problem is that it was not sustainable. And and my problem is that I cannot, because for me it's clearly opportunity cost. Like, either I'm working on Elysian Shadows and I'm working on anything else. Either way, I'm going to have to eat and live somewhere and pay for my internet. So yes, like, I've been around Elysian Shadows for 2 years and largely working for free, but that was really not a lot. Like, I remember, like, my first piece of pixel art, which was, I remember it was like the basic lore and building, took over a month. A month for something that's like 18 tiles on 512 by 1024 pixels. So that's like, that's actually 512 tiles. So that's what, 10% of a tile in a month? Like, it's not sustainable.
But in that case, the guy who's paying you needed a pre-Kickstarter in order. He's obviously so invested. He's got money. He can pay you. But in that case, Kickstarter is not. It's not kickstarting. It's more like secondary starting.
You need way less money to make a presentable demo that shows your concept and that's like playable than finished game. Especially, like, I mean, varies in terms of different games. Like if you're gonna have lots of procedural generation, you don't need as much assets. But if you're gonna have handcrafted game, RPG, old style, like vast amount of work time will be into building the game itself. So once you're gonna have your tech done, art assets established, that's like, I know, 20% of the work. The rest of it is building the game and then playtesting. And you can have those 20% first. You can have like 3 levels built and show it, and it shows the concept, and player can donate for it. And then you can actually finance your last 80% of the game that way.
So what you have just described is the most terrible and awful thing. Awful. So you're telling me that people are giving you money, not you personally. I promise you, I'm not having a go at you. They're giving you money for the quality of your art, not the quality of your gameplay. And that is a terrible situation for the whole Kickstarter community to be in when it is about those lovely trailers. I cannot remember ever. I may have run a game because it looked pretty. No game has ever looked so pretty. I've kept playing it. It's about the gameplay. And if Kickstarter is giving money essentially to people who've got good art and good trailers, that's horrible, absolutely horrible. Not I'm speaking from a games player's point of view.
I mean, yeah.
Hopefully your game's good.
Yeah.
Hopefully it is.
Honestly,
where
like,
the difference
that's
is,
my.
as he's mentioned in that particular case.
I think that's my bad because I'm.
Levels.
Yeah. I think that's my bad because I'm speaking purely from artist perspective, and my perspective will always be skewed. So I'm talking only about the art.
It's always
but
about
honestly,
art. Nothing else
There
exists
is not
but
only
art.
about art to the game, like there is also game mechanics, and there is also the game engine, and how the game feels and plays, and all of it can be shown in video. I'm talking about the art because that's the area that I'm most competent in. But it shouldn't disqualify any others. So the caveat would be it goes for.
I looked at your Kickstarter when I found out you're on the show, and I went, yeah, that looks good. Oh, I like what you've done. The sprites cool. Like your lighting. That's as far as I looked. But that would be as far as most people will look, and it's not a healthy long-term thing that people will back things that look good as opposed to things that
but this
play good.
This just goes back to the bloody Romans, buyer beware. What you're trying to say here. I get, we should be, at least as developers, people who are concerned about who are going to be our audiences. Sadly, though, ZumaPub says it's games, man. People buy stuff that looks good. They always bought stuff that looked good. Always, always, always. Although he's also thrown a question out. Danny, answer this question. What do you feel about the publishers, doing Kickstarters under indie titles? Apparently, he's heard of some of them where the game is already publisher funded, but they still do a Kickstarter. How do you feel about that, Danny?
Not very good about that. I've never heard of any campaign doing that, but since you've been brought to my attention, that's a very bad thing, I think. Very bad.
Can we name some? Zumba, can you tell us? I'm very curious.
Yeah, same.
But it's worth bearing in mind that publishers aren't powerhouses of money. I mean, I deal with Digital Tribes. I deal with KISS. These guys are essentially running on a shoestring. They're not like EA. They haven't got 500 million in the bank. They're going, oh, let's just spend this.
Let's just dump a couple grand, couple mil. It's not a big deal to us. We've got others coming in.
Well, you joke. I mean, that's not far off what happened. EA would deliver a feature on Burnout, and they're like, "Cool, we're going to put an extra 5 million in the PR part." We're like, "Seriously? Could you not put that in anyway?" But it was.
I would have said, "Could you put that into the development, please?" Thanks. Get us better tech. Get us more.
Now you're just talking rubbish. Don't be stupid. No one would ever do that.
Come on, who would pay for development of the game? Come on, marketing's where it's at.
This is what I would love to see. I would love to take, if I were rich and famous and I was basically Daddy Orbucks from Annie and had no problems shelling out dough, I would actually set up a competition. I would take a fixed amount of money and I'd put it into 2 directions. One, where the game is really shit and I've got like 2 people working on it, but I have massive amounts of marketing money. And one where most of the money is put into the development, the gameplay, the engine creation, making the gameplay the best thing possible, making the graphics the best thing possible, but not quite as much into marketing. I'd love to see which one does better.
Psygnosis did an experiment on this.
Ooh, yay, someone's done it already. I don't have to spend money.
Yeah.
Great.
So it doesn't quite apply, but what they did is they split the country, the UK, into 2 halves. In the top half of the country, they shipped their game in a big, shiny, expensive box. And in the bottom half of the country, they shipped it in a small box. not going to surprise anyone. The one in the big shiny box outsold 4 times. So it's been done. People are stupid, and I wish they would stop being stupid, and they would become savvy consumers.
Marketing's a king. You can have mediocre game, but as long as you have marketing dollars, you're gonna sell so much.
I love that. You want people to stop being stupid. Stop being stupid, people. Be informed consumers.
Minecraft is the good example here. Game has no demo. Very smart. Game has an attach rate of under 5%. So for every 20 people who play Minecraft, one of them comes back the next day. There's your statistic.
It doesn't have a demo?
All of them.
No, it's a demo. There's the my god, the demo is a web-based thing that's about God.
It's still a demo.
Arcas, you saw the real thing, so. Arcas, you saw the little diagram as to like, should you make a demo of your game?
Yeah. If you have a game that everybody wants, don't make a demo, because then they have to buy it.
It gets better. Like there are like 4 options. Like either your game is shitty or your game is good, or your and your demo is shitty or demo is good. Yep. 3 out of 4 times. I mean, like it was like only 1 time out of all of the combinations. Only 1 time. It's good to have demo. Rest of them, it's either neutral or it actually makes it worse for you. So it's like.
The example to give there is if you're a car dealership, you're a car showroom. You go to a shit car showroom, you don't get to test drive the cars. Middle of the road, test drive. You go to a Ferrari showroom, you're like, I'd like to test drive that car. They're like, nah, either you're buying it or we're not interested. So it's the same thing. Minecraft is the Ferrari there.
The fact that you know that about a Ferrari company speaks so much about you, Adam. I didn't even know that.
If you go to a Ferrari dealership, a lot of them are closed most of the time. You have to ring ahead for an appointment, and the first thing they will do is they will swipe your card to make sure you have enough money to buy it. And I have looked at the business card and gone, might want to go and test drive a Ferrari, but I thought I probably shouldn't. So, yeah, that's it. When you have a product people want, you don't need to sell it to them. Minecraft sales are purely on the basis that everybody else is playing it. It is irrelevant of the quality of the game. It's because everybody else is, and that's just...
And that's just like
Hold on, I'm going to shut you up, Patrick, because Danny went to say something, and Danny has been very difficult to get to say anything. So, Danny, when he catches up, go ahead, Danny. You have the floor.
I was just going to mention that it might be that way for Minecraft now, but back when it started, I would disagree that it's just because people were playing it. I mean, once it took off, fair enough, but they have you might not say it's a demo, but they have the experience in a minor form through a browser. I suppose it gives people enough insight into what the game.
Yeah, it didn't take off due to the demo though. I mean, the demo was created early. It took off due to Hutch.
YouTube.
What's the other one? Hutch, Team Fortress 2 blog. That was the killer, and that Voyager class spaceship in it, and those are the 3 sort of kicks it had, and then it just exploded.
Very much like a mushroom cloud.
Has anyone heard, by the way, it's been bought out? Has anyone heard that?
Yes.
Yes.
Minecraft has been purchased by Microsoft.
Yeah.
And Notch is leaving.
If everyone could stop tweeting me about it, that would be brilliant. Thank you. I've heard. 5,000 times.
It's interesting. We brought this up on our Facebook at MMOBuff, and it triggered a massive conversation. And a couple people were like, there's 2-3 things that really stand out about this entire purchase. One, no wonder they've given us Windows 8. It's preparing us for Minecraft being brought in because of the way that Windows 8 is designed. Someone else said, I'm really concerned that they're going to go closed source. The entire point behind Minecraft is it's open source so that you can do all kinds of stuff with it.
It's not. It's never been open source. Who the hell said that? Slap them.
It's moddable, but
it's moddable. I know.
It's encrypted. It's obfuscated.
Yes, it is. It's very obfuscated. For those who have ever taken the time to look, I'm just going to state that's very true. But anyway, they're worried that they're going to try to change the platforms that it's usable on. I mean, it's based on Java right now, except for the platform versions, because they had to completely rewrite it from scratch because their version of Java that they were basing this on apparently would not run on the things like PlayStation and Xbox and stuff like that. People are kind of concerned, but in all honesty, you're going to have to just wait. I doubt they're going to do anything overtly dramatic. Maybe they'll fix the memory leak issue.
I would hazard a guess Minecraft will stagnate, that Minecraft 2 will be an Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Windows Phone exclusive. There is no way. They've made these fluffy promises, and it's very nice of them saying, "Oh no, we have no plans. We will continue to release it." You've just spent $2.5 billion. Like, fuck, are you going to? Microsoft have about $80 billion in floating capital. They have just spent a significant proportion of their cash on this purchase. This is not Minecraft. Microsoft have $100 billion. This is a lot of money for them. They are absolutely going to get their money's worth from it. And I don't know if you own an Xbox One. There's not really very much on it. There's really not. And that would be a coup. Absolutely.
So you asked ZumbaPup to bring up for you the concept of a publisher. EA apparently were publishing Kickstarter-funded games. Now, were they just publishing the games that got Kickstarter funded? Oh, this is about exploiting Obsidian's Kickstarter to keep IP rights and profits.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the, how much money some of them are made, of course you do. It means you write a game with no risk.
Yeah. One sentence about the Minecraft deal. Like, I honestly don't condone Notch, and it's nice to have a couple of billions. I'd say it's nice to have some cash. But it strikes me as very peculiar when he reacted so strongly and he condoned the sellout of Oculus Rift to Facebook.
Oh, yes.
And then he sold Minecraft to Microsoft. Like, it's something like there's a little bit inconsistency there. But...
Notch, I quote, said, "I am never signing or agreeing to another NDA ever again." And I'm fairly sure when you're dealing with a multi-billion-dollar deal, there's quite a lot of NDAs,
yeah.
But just compare it to the Star Wars purchase. Star Wars, Lucasfilm was only $3 billion. And for that, Disney went, brilliant, cool. So we're doing 3 sequels, 3 spin-offs, spin-off TV series, all this stuff. You need to make that money back. They are buying that to make a profit. They are not buying it simply as to own it.
I'm just waiting for them to buy Star Trek, because then they can have all the Star stuff.
Well, who owns Star Trek right now?
Isn't it still Gene Roddenberry?
No, he's dead. He's been dead for years.
Well,
I think it's Paramount owned that one. Because Paramount had the TV series, and I think they own it rather than Gene Roddenberry. It's created by him, but I don't think he owns the IP rights. I think it's Paramount, and I think even Paramount is probably a little bit of a big purchase for Disney.
Oh, man. Right. Okay, so we have been here for a while, and we've run a little bit over because we started getting into some really crazy stuff. Danny, you are going to need to fix your intertubes.
As we were talking, my new router for my new ISP turned up at the door.
You know what? That's just one of those things where I just have to sort of sit back and go, wow, okay. Well, there are a couple of things I need to bring up for everybody involved. Next week, during the show, I'm going to be at Eurogamer. So, the question becomes, Adam, will you be streaming?
I can.
Excellent. Excellent. So basically what I'll let is for Danny, if you would like to come back next week with your better internets, I'll let the 3 of you argue the toss about more stuff. Because it's brilliant. I literally enjoy sitting back and watching you guys discuss these things. But yes, so next week I'm not going to be on, but these guys hopefully will. Danny, do you want to be on next week? Excellent. There you go. So next week Danny will be back with better interwebs, and he won't keep pausing his poor face. I feel so bad. But we have a very special episode of the Datamine this week, Friday night UK time at 11:50 p.m. We are going to start, but it will be midnight when it kicks off. But we are bringing in David Serlin from the Yomi fighting card game to come in and debate balance. Asymmetric balance and everything that goes with it. So if you think you know about balance, think again. And this guy has some serious opinions. And I do believe, if fingers are crossed, that Chris from 19 Stone Ninja will be able to join us that night. I'm letting DJ Arcus off the complete list so he gets to sleep or work on his game.
Yeah.
I didn't think you'd want to be awake at midnight.
Would you say that it's a...
You probably
would you say that it's a late night show?
It is a late night show, but no, there will be no alcohol involved. But yes, David Serlin has been involved in researching balance in games for an insanely long time. And he has some very strong opinions on this. So if you think you know why some people don't balance certain games right, bring it. Because he will go to town. I'm really looking forward to it. And believe me, Adam, if you want to be there, I'll have you join as well.
Okay, well, we'll see.
It's a matter of, we know it's occurring. As to which of our hosts will be there is a whole different ballpark. However, that is going to be occurring this Friday night. But tonight, we have Raiki streaming again. We also have tomorrow at 8 p.m. Convergence. We are going to be giving away some WildStar stuff. We're looking at giving away some Guild Wars stuff. Go to Facebook. We are giving away 100 Warlords of Draenor beta keys. Please go. I don't want the keys anymore. I want to give them away. Please. Please. But yes, as a reminder, folks, for those of you who are interested in getting into game development, our Game Jam is going to be starting up very, very, very soon, at least the build-up for it. The Game Jam itself is set for December 12th through the 14th, and it is going to be live streamed through Twitch with several teams. There will be prizes, and it's all for charity. We are trying to work with Healing Over Time to pull all the charities together that we're going to be making money for, but in the end, we're going to produce some games in 48 hours, and then we're going to vote. And it's going to be interesting. So more information about that, I will be hitting our website in the next 2 weeks. Let me think if there's anything else. If you are wanting to get involved in the Game Jam, don't wait until December. Because if you want to get involved, start your practice now. Get into your engines, get into your art, get into your music, get into your web design, as I poke on Danny, who really can't respond because his internet is a bit flaky right now. But get into it, because when the time comes for me to put the teams together, I'm going to want to see people's proof of concept and proof of work. So there you go. I'm not going to put anybody under Adam's control as a team if they aren't willing to pull their weight. Because I think Adam would break you in two. And then steal all your Lego. And then all your oatmeal cookies. Whereas Patrick would just steal all your potatoes.
He's got potatoes. He doesn't need more.
Oh, yes, he does. He loves his potatoes. It's all about the potatoes and everything that goes with it.
I'm the real life equivalent of the potato girl.
You're a hobbit, basically.
Do you have 11sies? Do you have onesies as well? Twosies and threesies?
No, I don't.
He's having second breakfast.
I'm hungry.
I wish. I'm too lazy. Like, I'm literally too lazy to cook for myself.
You're too lazy to cook for yourself. Fantastic. Well, this is why I got married and I have a husband. Just saying. My husband is fantastic.
I should get a husband too.
Yeah, go for it. I highly recommend house husbands. House husbands are great. They cook, they clean, they do the laundry. They also cut the grass. They take care of the pets. It's brilliant. They let you get your work done.
Hold on. I think I am a husband. That explains it. So I need to get myself a husband to get my grass cut rather than right.
Yes. See?
Yes.
See, you're learning that it's the house husbands who do it. But yes, hi, Gwyn's, who happens to be my husband. For those who are wondering, Gwyncy Poo, hi. I love you. Don't hurt me. By the way, I'm drinking the stuff you got me. Thank you very much. But anyway, yes. So please, if you're interested in Game Jam, get involved. If you want some keys, we're giving away so much stuff. Just hit Facebook. Please take them and get involved, because we have like 300 keys to give away. And I kind of want to give them away because as Swagzilla, that's a big part of what I like to do. And then join tonight when Raikachi streams. Tomorrow, 2 separate streams. And then next week, Gauntlet. We're going back into Gauntlet.
I will be streaming that one myself. I am literally the world's biggest Gauntlet fan.
Oh, you have got to come in and watch. We have Mizpah, who I hate. I absolutely hate Mizpah when we play this game because he is a thief. He steals all of the money, shoots all of the food, and because he is ranged, he never worries about dying. So it drives me bonkers. Absolutely hate him. But hey. Mizpah, I love you. So we have Mizpah, we have Aussie, and we have Screenager and myself. And we are doing the multiplayer of Gauntlet Monday night. And I believe we're keeping our fingers crossed. We're trying to get one of the devs on to talk to us about the game as well, because we have had quite a few questions come in from the community. So if you want to come over on Monday and laugh your ass off at how horrible I am at playing Valkyrie, do that.
I was actually in a book about Gauntlet, so I love Gauntlet. One of my favorite games of all time. And if they screwed it up, I will find them and I will hurt them.
MMOBuff does not condone this type of behavior, and if something does so happen to occur to these people, it is not the responsibility of me at all. It's all on him!
It'll be me.
It's all on him. Yes, so Monday we're doing that. Tuesday we're going back for the campfire for a community show. Wednesday we're doing more Blizzard stuff, including giveaways. Next week, you three arguing the toss about more Kickstarter stuff. Let's say you get funded. And it will be the final episode on Kickstarter / crowdsourcing. What are your responsibilities, etc.? And of course, what happens if a developer or a publishing company or something like that comes along and says, well, you guys were funded, we like you, can we buy you now?
$2.5 billion. I'm not going to go any lower than that, I think.
Yeah.
You forgot the oatmeal cookies, man.
With $2.5 billion, I could buy a lot of them. I could buy an oatmeal cookie factory with that much money.
$2.5 billion in oatmeal cookies.
Cookies.
That are also shaped like pound bills. I think
one important thing you should know about the Minecraft purchase that makes me giggle, because I like Notch. I've met him, he's a lovely bird, but deep in my heart, I do hate him, obviously. That $2.5 billion gets split 3 ways, so that's approximately $750 million. So $750 million for Notch. In Sweden, they pay a 50% tax rate. I'll leave you with that one. Oh yeah, $325 million tax bill.
Sweden must be sitting there going, "We can buy more airplanes for our military, funded by Microsoft."
Sorry. Wait. I know you're American. Did you just use the word Sweden and military?
I mean, I think they...
Don't people in Sweden have to serve 1 year in their army?
Yeah, but it's not a real... They don't have like a standing
army.
It's not a real...
Again, MMOBuff does not condone military actions against Sweden.
I think they totally have like 2 jets or something like that, because when there was this whole affair with Russia, they were like scrambling their jets, so they totally have at least 2. So maybe they can double the amount of jets they have.
Right. Okay, so this leads me to say, Danny, we'll have you back with better internets, which means you get to be a lot more vocal. Interrupt them next week. Tell them to stuff it and give your own opinions on things. Patrick, it was lovely to see you again, my dear. Adam, as always, an absolute treat. And to you guys, thank you so much for watching. We will be back Friday night and then next Thursday. Have a good one. Bye-bye.